The Destiny 2 commendation system is a perfect example of a well-intentioned feature that Bungie seems to have turned into something to grind for instead. What is up, everyone? My name is Orca, and in today's video, I'd like to share my thoughts on the commendation system that got implemented when Lightfall launched. The core idea of the system is, on paper, a great idea. It's like rating your Uber after the trip, but you're only allowed wholesome and positive reviews to choose from. I believe Bungie's goal when they pushed out this feature was to allow players to see what other players bring to the table just by looking at their commendation score and which color or colors are most prominent when they inspect them. However, tying this entire system to achievements and outright requiring players to give them out to anyone and everyone just to level up their Guardian rank kind of defeats the entire purpose of the system. It makes it feel like the whole commendation system doesn't matter in the way that would have made it meaningful. So, let's go over why this is the case, shall we? Why it feels off. It is tied to weekly rewards that, I assume, is to entice or remind players to give out commendations. And since everyone needs to give them out, I found myself giving out commendations of mastery to blueberries who obviously haven't mastered a certain activity, or fun commendations to randos who clearly made my experience less fun. Now, I'm sure I got plenty of commendations in which I didn't deserve at that moment, but anyone who wasn't dishing these things out left and right early on in the season would be left behind on their power grind. Though, Bungie has already reduced the amount of commendation score needed to hit certain achievements, which means that it'll take less time to get commendation-related goals done. But that doesn't necessarily remove the numbers game, where you still just want your own number to go higher and higher, as opposed to actually giving what you think other players deserve. I mean, people literally farmed the Last Wish Raid's Rivenwall by wiping over and over early on in Season of Defiance. And although this was eventually patched, it just goes to show that Destiny players will do anything to get their level grind on while ignoring the core principle of the commendation system so long as it gets them their achievements faster. Speaking of achievements, the commendation system is also tied to achievements that directly affect Guardian ranks, which is supposed to sum up how well a player has played, achieved, or mastered the game. Now, in Bungie's defense, they probably tied these achievements to ensure that players don't forget to give commendations and keep the rewards rolling, which, by the way, isn't a lot of time. Commendations can only be given after an activity ends at the post-game screen, which in itself doesn't last very long. You're shown your score first, or the activity end countdown happens, before you're prompted to give out your commendations. Then, if any of your teammates leave before that, you won't get anything from them, and you also can't give out yours, essentially making the activity end screen, which I consider to be a sort of cooldown / rest period of sorts, into a beat the clock ordeal where you're supposed to be rushing to give and get yours. Again, all of these factors combined has made the entire system into a borderline useless hassle at worst and a mundane chore at best. You don't get to feel the weight of what it's supposed to be, or even enjoy the act of giving someone a commendation that you think they deserve. I don't know about you guys, but to me, giving someone what they deserve, even in this context, is something I think I would actually enjoy, no matter how fleeting that moment is. Another thing, why are we limited to a certain number of options when we give these things out? In Crucible, we're only given 2 options for commendations, one for fun and one for mastery. Same with Gambit, actually. So, why then are we limited to just these? Why are we limited to giving just one of each? To me, it makes perfect sense for a leadership commendation to be available for any game mode, and be able to give multiple copies of it, so that multiple players who deserve it gets it. I mean, What if you played a game of Gambit and all three of your Blueberry teammates were fun? Yeah, unlikely, I know, but just hear me out on this one. What if all three of them showed absolute mastery of the game mode? Why am I now locked into choosing just one commendation for each of them that might not even match their performance? My guess is because Bungie didn't want us to be giving these out too fast, since it's all tied to powerful rewards, which then would break the system, and we all just circle back to the beginning of the problem. But, as I mentioned before, with the amount of time that we have, or lack thereof, we probably wouldn't have enough time to sift through a lot of the available commendations and discern who deserves which one anyway. Which, I guess, kind of makes this system aligned in a weird, lackluster way. So, now when you try and look at other Guardians and see their commendation score, you probably completely ignore how much of mastery they've been given or how fun they are during activities, because you know that most of the points that they have were probably just given out of necessity from other players that all wanted to get their own achievements and rewards done as fast as they could. And as for those of you who believe that negative commendations should be an option, don't hold your breath. With how salty the community at large is, Bungie would never allow something like that to spread in the game. Can you imagine if review bombing, or in this case, commendation bombing a certain player became a thing in Destiny? Nah, man. I think that'll just open a whole nother kind of problems for Bungie, and we don't want that. So, in conclusion, I can pretty much guarantee that this isn't how Bungie wanted the system to be used. However, it's clear that their hearts are in the right place and the intentions are good. At its core, I like the idea and direction of the commendation system. Bungie just needs to find a way to remove the numbers game tied to powerful rewards and allow us to actually give the players the commendations they deserve solely on their performance and attitude alone. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on this. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.